2017, you and Mr. Paschel became an item. You began going out, is that correct?
Yes.
And you became a couple, and shortly thereafter, you both decided to be monogamous, correct, as it related to that relationship?
No, I don't recall that.
You don't?
Well, I recall us being monogamous, and then in April, I found out that he did not feel the same way. So we did break up for a little bit in April. That would have been of 2018.
And that created some tension, correct?
Yes, we broke up because of
throughout
that.
the course of the relationship. But during the course of the relationship, it progressed, and you would do things that normal couples would do, correct?
Yes.
Go out to dinner, correct?
Yes.
Take trips, for example, to Florida, correct?
Yes.
Geoffrey was involved in your life, correct?
Yes.
He would go to activities and support you in your capacity as a teacher at the fourth grade teacher at the Sequoia Middle School, correct? Elementary school.
Yes.
And by and large, the relationship progressed and became closer, correct?
Correct.
And prior to June of 2019, those months leading up to there, Geoffrey asked you to marry him, correct?
Correct.
And you said yes.
I did.
Yes. And so at that point, you were his fiancée.
Yes.
And the relationship at that point continued to progress.
Yes.
And let's fast forward to June of 2019. At this point, your relationship with Geoffrey is good, correct?
Yes.
You knew if you were married, you were going to have a blended family because Geoffrey had a number of children, correct?
I knew of about a few of the children, not all of them.
So he supported you in your position as a teacher in elementary school, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, other than issues of infidelity, in June of 2019, nothing could be better as it relates to Kristen and Geoffrey, correct?
Other than infidelity and lying about children and ex-wives that I didn't know about, then yes.
Made you mad, didn't it?
We broke up over it, but this was all again prior to the engagement. This all happened in January.
Yeah. So let's fast forward or rewind, depending on where we are, and go to June 9th of 2019. Started out as a normal Saturday night in East Tennessee, Knox County, and you and Geoffrey decided to go out to dinner, correct?
Yes.
And that night you chose to go to the Brasserie Restaurant located on North Shore Drive in Knoxville, correct?
Yes.
And there was nothing atypical about yourself, Geoffrey Paschel, going to dinner at a trendy West Knoxville restaurant on a Saturday night, correct?
I would say that's normal for couples to do, yes.
Yeah. And Geoffrey came to your house, which is also on North Shore, at approximately 6 p.m., correct?
No, he had been at my house all day that Saturday.
All right, because you guys were basically living together at that point in time, correct?
Yes, he was staying at my house then.
And let me kind of rephrase that question. So when you all left for dinner to go to the Brasserie, which is just a few minutes away from where you live, it was about 6 o'clock, correct?
I'm assuming sometime around then. We were there for several hours.
Yeah, so if I showed you your prior testimony and you said it was about 6 o'clock, would that refresh your recollection?
I believe it was about 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, dinner time.
Yeah. And how far is the Brasserie from your house? 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
5 or 10 minutes, yes.
Yeah. So if you left at 6, y'all got there, you missed the Saturday night rush, so you would have gotten to the Brasserie restaurant about 6:15, 6:30?
Yes.
Now, also at the Brasserie that night was a close friend of yours that was the server, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned her name when Ms. Good was doing your direct examination. Tell the jury who that friend was.
Katie Meyer.
And Katie Meyer was a server, correct?
Yes.
And your relationship to Katie Meyer was what?
At that time, she was my brother's girlfriend.
Your brother's girlfriend. And we have spoken about this before, but Miss Myers, when you would order cocktails, would sometimes give you free drinks and give you drinks that were fairly strong, correct?
No.
That's not correct.
Katie did not give us free drinks.
Did she make drinks that were stronger than what would have been normally poured as required by the Metropolitan Drug Commission and the protocols at the Brasserie?
I would say no. I was drinking champagne, and it was served in a champagne glass, so
All
can't
right.
really make that stronger.
You were drinking champagne.
Correct.
Mr. Paschel was also drinking that evening, correct?
Yes.
You get there at 6:15, and Geoffrey ordered something kind of atypical, a burger and fries, correct?
Yes.
Atypical for him, but typical for probably half of Knoxville on a Saturday night. You didn't order dinner, did you?
No, we were sharing. I did have shrimp cocktail
Okay.
as an appetizer.
And it's true, is it not, that from the time that you began dinner and cocktails at the Brasserie, you stayed at that restaurant and drank and ate until you arrived home at 11 o'clock, correct?
Yes, we didn't go anywhere in between.
Did not go anywhere in between.
No, we went straight home after the Brasserie.
Right. And so you arrived at about 6:15, ordering drinks from your friend, splitting a burger. You were there from 6:15, 7:15, 8:15, 9:15, 10:15, 5 or so hours, and then you drove home.
We were there for several hours. I don't remember if it was exactly 5. I do have a picture on my phone of him finishing dinner, eating that burger from 9:30. So I know we were eating at 9:30
Well,
still.
you still stayed there and were drinking after he consumed, split the burger. So let's make sure I got the timeline correct. You were at the Brasserie drinking from 6:15 until 11 o'clock.
I was home by 11 o'clock walking the dog. It couldn't have been 5 hours. We were there for several hours, though.
Well, let's be clear.
But I don't
You got-
remember the exact time I arrived.
You got there at 6:15, you didn't arrive home, which is a few minutes away, till 11. So you would agree with me, 6:15, 7:15, 8:15, 9:15, 10:15, nearly 5 hours of drinking at the Brasserie on that evening, correct?
We were there for several hours, but I don't remember exactly how many. I told you that we had got to dinner around 6 o'clock be my best estimate from what I can remember from 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, let's just, and again, I'm not trying to trick you or whatever. If you get to the restaurant at 6:15 and you don't arrive home until 11 and it's only a few minutes away, you all ate and drank for nearly 5 hours that Saturday night, correct?
We were there for several hours. I don't remember if it was 5. I don't feel comfortable saying, yes, it was 5 hours if I don't remember.
Right, you can't, I mean, I could show you prior testimony, you don't.
Judge, come here, Judge.
Sure.
You know, I always like to say you have to pick your battles on cross-exam wisely. Is this a battle worth fighting here? The time they arrived. Let me bring in Imran Ansari. He's standing by watching with us in New York. Imran, what do you think here? He keeps trying to get this out of her, and now they're at sidebar arguing this objection outside of the jury's hearing. What do you think, please?
Yeah, on cross-examination, especially in a case like this, you want to be somewhat soft-handed in some respect when you have a witness on the stand like this, and the allegations, especially after you just saw those photographs, are shown. You got to really pick your battles, as you say, and really set the tone in your cross wisely.
Right, Imran, thank you. He's picked back up
your
with
friend at the brasserie, correct?
Yes.
And you were honest when you spoke with Ms. Gooch later that evening, correct?
I was honest when I spoke with Ms.
Yes.
Good? Yeah,
Yeah. And you heard her testify this morning, correct?
I did.
And she indicated that you'd also been drinking wine.
I think she got that confused with champagne, since they're so similar.
So when the 911 dispatch asked her to ask you if you've been drinking alcohol, and she turned around to see what your response was, she went from champagne to wine inadvertently?
I guess so.
Okay. Or during the 5 hours, could you have had champagne and wine and some other drinks?
The only thing I remember drinking at the brasserie is the champagne.
That you remember?
It's the only thing I drank that evening.
Okay. So you return home with Geoffrey. Now, you also told Ms. Gooch that you guys were arguing at the brasserie, correct?
No?
Okay. Well, in your direct testimony, you indicate that you walked the dog and that you were, quote, attacked by Mr. Paschel, but Ms. Gooch indicated that you said that you all had been in an argument, arguing that evening.
I don't remember telling her that.
Okay.
I assumed that she just meant the argument as in the assault.
So you get home and you walk the dog. You don't recall if there was an argument or not about infidelity.
Correct.
And with no provocation, you indicate that Geoffrey immediately attacked you when you walked in from walking the dog.
That is the next thing I remember after walking up to the house, was him attacking me.
And your testimony is that you didn't argue in the restaurant. You don't recall arguing in the restaurant.
I don't recall arguing in the restaurant.
You don't recall arguing in the ride from the restaurant to your residence.
I do not.
And that everything is fine, and Mr. Paschel suddenly and violently attacks you at that point, correct?
That's the next thing I remember after walking the dog.
And you would agree that you, and again, I am in no way trying to belittle and minimize the injuries in the pictures, so when I ask you questions, please don't infer that I'm doing that in any way whatsoever. But we know there was a 4 to 5 hour period at the brasserie. We know you got home at 11. You say you were immediately attacked after walking the dog. You didn't get to Ms. Gooch's house until 1:45. But yet, in looking at this, your version of what happened, you don't recall going upstairs with Mr. Paschel, correct?
Correct.
So when you say he drug you up the stairs, that's really not accurate because you don't recall how you got upstairs, correct?
I do remember him dragging me up the stairs. I don't remember what happened once we got upstairs.
Okay. And you don't remember how you got downstairs, correct?
I do not know how I got into the kitchen, no.
In fact, the attack that you say went on sometime between 11 and 1:45, or you were in bed for a time, you only have a few minutes of recollection as to what was happening?
I'd say I remember about half of it.
Yeah. And Your recollection is that for 30 minutes, Mr. Paschel struck your forehead into the hardwood for 40 consecutive minutes?
No, not for the full time. That's the first thing I remember, first part I remember of the assault.
And your memory, you would agree, is you don't really recall how long you were at the brasserie, you don't recall how long this took place. Do you recall ever falling?
I remember being pushed down, yes,
Pushed?
falling onto the
Do you ever
ground from being
recall
pushed.
falling or stumbling into a doorway?
No,
Is it, okay, do you ever recall stumbling as you exited your residence?
no, I did not stumble on the way out
Okay.
the door.
And also last time we talked, I asked if you were drinking Tito's and vodka at the brasserie in addition to the champagne and the wine, and you said you didn't recall. But you
I do
did
not recall drinking anything other than champagne that evening.
But it's possible.
No, I only recall drinking champagne that evening.
And with this, the episode that you described for 30 or so minutes, where your recollection comes in and out, may I approach? Sure. That there were people that came to your house, correct? Officers, et cetera, came to your house?
That evening, yes.
Yeah, and the pictures that we were talking about that Ms. Good showed you is the entirety of the blood that was found?
Forensics also came out and took pictures.
But
Those are my personal.
Yeah, that's the entirety of the blood that was found, based on supporting your description of what you say happened. That's
There was also blood on my bedroom door and on my couch, so that is not the entirety of it.
well. Did you take pictures? Because they're not here.
I do have bedroom door pictures on my phone.
Why did you stay?
I'm not sure.
Judge, can we,
What
may we,
about-
Judge, may we approach, please?
Judge, if she has an objection,
Yeah.
all right, Mr. Chapman, I was asking you about photographs of blood, et cetera. And in looking at information we were provided by the state, listening to your direct, and having talked before, under your version of the events, was there even a conversation with Mr. Paschel after you came in from walking the dogs? Or is your recollection that this violent episode just happened and then was over without any discussion, explanation?
I don't remember any discussion or conversation. My memory goes straight from walking up to my house to in front of my stairs on the ground.
Could it be possible, Ms. Chapman, that your recollection and your perception of the events has been impacted by the alcohol that you and Mr. Paschel had consumed that evening?
No.
All right, and you also told the jury that your phone was disabled?
Yes, it was.
And you're telling us now that all those photographs were taken with your cell phone? The disabled cell phone?
Yes, it could still take pictures. It couldn't make calls.
Could it text?
No, it could not text.
But it could take pictures?
Yes, it could take pictures.
No, I don't understand. So how can it take pictures and otherwise not be able to text or make phone calls?
When I took my phone to Apple, they told me that he had taken the
Well, I
first.
don't want you to tell me hearsay, but so it was disabled.
It was disabled somehow from calling 911. I could not call out, no one could call in, couldn't send or receive text messages.
And again, I don't want to deprecate the injuries that presented in that picture, but you would agree that there are 3 sets of pictures of the same injuries, that the bruising progressed over time, correct?
Over a couple of days, yes.
Yeah. And that's the universe of your injuries, correct? That's
What do you
that's
mean?
the entirety of your injuries, correct? And again, in no way to minimize, deprecate, but that's it. And the pictures are basically over and over of the same injuries as they progress during that 3 to 5 day period, correct?
Yes, forensics took pictures of all of my injuries, and then I continued to document them.
And you would agree with me that your statement has been consistently inconsistent in that you say that you were, without provocation, your head was beaten and you were drugged for 30, 40 minutes without explanation. And you indicated that Mr. Paschel was with you when you washed your face and you all laid down, and yet you never asked Geoffrey why we had just had a lovely dinner for 5 hours and had cocktails and shared a burger, why this happened?
Did not say a word to him, that is correct. I laid there pretending to sleep so he would leave me alone.
Were your eyes open or closed?
Closed except for when I peeked to see what he was doing. So closed 99% of the time.
But yet you saw what he was doing. And the truth of the matter is that you all, after whatever manner you got the injuries, whether it was Mr. Paschel or whether something else happened, you all were tired and decided to go to bed.
That is not what happened. I was
Did he
forced to go
carry
to
you in
bed.
bed? He didn't carry you to bed, lock the door. You all were lying in bed together, and you say your eyes are closed, but yet you saw him plugging stuff into computers and disabling your phone.
I could hear him plugging things into his
You didn't see
computer.
him, but you heard it.
I could hear him, and I saw the USB cord attached to my phone and to his computer.
Okay. So let's be straight. When you said you saw that, you didn't see it. You heard the click of a USB cord being plugged into a computer?
And then opened my eyes. And yes, I did see the USB cord with my phone attached to
It
his
clicked?
computer.
Okay.
Yes.
So you got to Ms. Gooch's about 1:46. You got home about 11. How much of that period of time do you have a clear recollection of what happened?
I would say I remember about half of the actual assault. After I became conscious again, when I was sitting on the couch and saw him pacing, I did not lose consciousness again from that point.
Well, in fact, by the time you got to Ms. Gooch's, everybody it had been a few hours since you had left the brasserie drinking, correct?
Correct.
So everybody's demeanor had kind of, for lack of a better word, sobered up a little bit, correct?
I don't know how to answer that.
That's my point. Nothing further.
Are you ready?
Miss Wilson, or Miss Chapman, the day after the attack took place, did you take screenshots of your phone indicating that your phone had been signed into the defendant's computer?
Yes, there are pictures taken actually from my mom's phone because my phone was still broken. So I
Okay.
took that picture. It's not actually a screenshot.
Oh, okay, I apologize.
That's
And
okay.
when was that taken the day after?
It was taken on June 9th,
Okay. So actually,
the evening of, so it
okay.
was kind of,
And would you recognize those photographs?
yes, I would.
May I approach, Judge?
Yes, ma'am.
Do these appear to be a fair and accurate copy of those photographs we were just talking about?
Yes.
Or if we could enter these as the next three exhibits.
Any objection?
None.
They'll be received as the next three number exhibits.
All right. I'm going to start with what's been entered as exhibit number 55. Can you tell us what that picture indicates?
This is a picture of my phone. You can see in the upper left-hand corner where he popped the screen off it to disable it. And it says Kristen's iPhone 7, but it is not an iPhone 7. It is a MacBook Pro 13, which belonged to Geoffrey Paschel.
And what has been marked as exhibit number 53, can you tell us what that is?
That is the last backup of my phone, which was at 1:02 a.m. done by Geoffrey Paschel.
Okay. And at 1:02 a.m., was that when you were laying in the bed, when he had your phone?
Yes, and after he deleted the text messages and everything, he backed my phone up so that I couldn't revert to the last backup.
And finally, 54, can you tell us what that is?
That is my computer the next morning. There were iCloud issues logging in because he had tampered with my phone. I was trying to get on a computer to get in touch with my parents. You can see in the picture, I think it says 10 a.m. up in the upper corner. I was trying to get in touch with my parents because they didn't know what happened yet.
And just to be clear, up here in the upper corner, does that also reflect that this was on June 9th?
June 9th, yes.
Okay, so this would have been after you were released from the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
The photograph that Mr. Isaacs asked you about, as far as the blood and everything in the home, during the course of this case has been pending, did you provide your entire cell phone actually for a forensic extraction?
Yes, I did.
And did you provide that to the state?
I did, yes.
And did you specifically pull out those pictures for trial today?
Yes, I did. They were sent in prepreation for trial.
I apologize. Did you actually
Okay.
print those off and hand them to me?
No, ma'am, I did not print those
Okay,
off.
so you didn't intentionally, you didn't have anything to do with printing those pictures, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if any of the pictures of the additional blood that was scattered throughout the house are missing.
Objection to compound question. If she has a question about specific, in terms of blood.
Sure, just stand as the compound question, please write it down.
Was there a photograph taken of blood on the door of your home?
Objection to hearsay.
You still have pictures on her phone, isn't she?
Yes.
Well, but she's not showing her the picture. She's just asking her what is on her phone or was on her phone. I mean, if she asked her a picture, showed her a picture to identify it, then obviously we would not have an objection.
Well, that's not hearsay, so I'll respectfully overrule. Yeah.
Did you take additional photographs that were not included in the ones that I've shown you?
I have several pictures of my injuries included that are not included there, and I do believe that forensics, when they came out
Objection
to
is
take.
what forensics did or did not do.
Okay.
That's fine. I want to talk to you about that text message that you talked about sending to your friend, okay? What time was that?
11:07, I believe.
And did you indicate in that text message that both you and the defendant would be meeting your friends?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you did not say only I am coming, is that correct?
Correct, yes. I said we in the message.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Rebuttal.
Just briefly. Ms. Chapman, you indicated that when you had your eyes closed and you heard Mr. Paschel plug in something to a USB cord, et cetera, that he deleted your phone. Everything. was yours.
Not everything, no. Just messages between us, some voicemails between us, social media messages, emails between us.
Well, in the truth, from what you just described and what the stage just introduced, your phone's backed up to the cloud, correct?
It was backed up to the cloud after he deleted everything. It was backed up at 1:02 a.m.
Well, your phone was set up to be backed up to the cloud, correct?
It is, yes.
Yes. So it would have been impossible for Mr. Paschel to have deleted the conversations that were stored in your iCloud account.
That's not true because after he backed it up, they're gone forever.
Okay. So are you saying at 1 o'clock that morning you did something?
No, he did. At 1:02 a.m., he backed up the phone after deleting the messages.
Well, your phone is, you can either have it backed up to the, do you pay for cloud storage on your phone?
Yes, I do.
Nothing further.
Anything else, gentlemen? Ma'am, thank you. You may sit down.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.